Hi, everyone, and welcome to another A and B Horror Movies video. I'm Aaron,
Ben?
and today we're very excited to be joined by Josh Forbes. Josh, welcome.
Hey,
Thank
hey,
you for
how's it
coming
going,
on.
guys?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
happy to have you. Can't wait to chat with you
Thank
about Destroy All Neighbors. So you directed the brand new horror comedy that's available now on Shudder. Let's
yeah.
see, you are a director, an actor, a producer, editor, maybe. What else? What other hats do you wear?
Father of two kids,
Full-time
player
job
of board
there.
games. Yeah, yeah. Husband, son, so many things.
So many
So many,
things, yes.
so many hats. Yeah.
Excellent.
Wake her up early on a Sunday. Yeah, those are all
Well,
my.
we
No,
appreciate it. We had to
Yeah,
juggle
thank
the
you.
time zones a little bit, but we're very happy
yeah.
to chat with you.
Anytime I have to access the part of my phone that's like has the world map and like different, like that's always very exciting. It's a very exciting time. You're like,
Yes,
okay, what time is it in London? Okay, what time is it here? So
three different time zones. So I got to throw out. So 8 a.m. for you, 11 a.m. for me, and 4 p.m. for Ben. How cool is that?
there we go. That's
Um,
science. Take
yeah,
take
for
that,
sure.
flat earthers. Kidding. I don't know.
Gosh, let's see. So we want to talk with you about Destroy All Neighbors. But
Yeah.
before we do that, I also wanted to mention that you directed a number of music videos, which is very cool. You've worked
Hmm.
with some amazing artists such as The Offspring, Ingrid Michaelson, Jason Mraz, Walk the Moon. You did the Shut Up and Dance with Me video.
Yeah.
Very awesome. The Fray, Sarah Bareilles, and Metro Station. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
We may throw in
Yeah.
a few questions about that if we can.
Yeah. 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 Please.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get started. Ben, do you want to ask the first question?
Yeah. I suppose I'd begin with where did the idea for this come from? How did it come about?
Yeah. I mean, so I was talking with my buddy Charlie, who's the first writer of the movie, and like we were both living in LA, uh, you know, just like shitty Hollywood apartments. And I was lamenting to him, because I had this neighbor who was just like you would hear like moaning in the hallway at 3 in the morning, and you'd come out and he would just be like drunk trying to jam his key into his door, like so where he would always like this guy would like yell through the wall at like my kids and stuff, and like it was just I would just lay in bed thinking of how I wanted to kill this guy.
Oh my gosh, should we edit this out?
Or no, no, no. Well, I mean, he's still alive. His
Okay, good.
dad did. His father died, which is weird.
Okay.
Which is just a weird thing. It's a weird thing to have happen in your apartment building.
Yes.
But anyway, so I was talking to Charlie about this, about like, oh man, I have this neighbor, and he had a neighbor that was even crazier, and would like threaten him in weird ways, like ask him to like, hey Charlie, like touch my muscles, like weird. Like he would play he'd play like Sade at like 3 in the morning, like just menacing. So we were talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, like that, it's the sort of thing too, where like probably 5 times a day I go, oh, that could be a movie. Oh, is that a movie? Is this a movie? So we're talking, it's like, oh, is that a movie? Like a guy who wants to kill his neighbor, and anyways, that's where it came from. But rooted in experience of, and that's uh, so many horror movies are about haunted like houses, like people, like a family's moving into a house, and that always is like so fake to me, because I'm like, no, the real horror is being stuck in an apartment that you can't get out of.
Yeah, true. True.
I would welcome the Amityville horror at this point.
And you achieved it so well that I should have mentioned the
Oh, thank
film
you.
Destroy All Neighbors is on Shudder, so if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. And there's a
Yeah,
lot of buzz around the movie, which is very exciting. Congratulations.
yeah,
And the
thank
reviews
you.
have been very positive. And I will say it's probably like nothing I've ever seen with horror elements,
Hmm.
comedic elements. Um, and there's a lot of practical effects in it. So going into the film, did you
Hmm.
intend to use practical effects and not a lot of CGI? In fact, I also want to mention that we have a number of viewer questions we're going to get to, and a lot of
Hmm.
the positive feedback that we got was that they loved the practical effects. So was that always your intention?
Yeah, yeah, that was always big from day one for us. I think for a variety of reasons. I think like it just looks better. Obviously, I mean, like all the positives. I feel like the horror nerds talk about a lot, which is it's like it lasts longer. Like you think of like you watch The Thing, and it looks as good now as it did
Mhm.
then. But any sort of digital effects, like they're always improving on digital effects. So it's like
Yeah.
even if you watch like I don't know, like a Transformers movie or something where it's like, oh, that looks or Marvel or something, it's like, oh, this is the best that we can do it now. In 10 years or 5 years, that'll look like crap. Like it's just how
Yes,
it
that's
goes.
what happens, right?
Yeah. But also just like I love the fun of it. I love it's better for the actors. It's just whatever. Like and it's also that's yeah, like I love puppeteering. I love, all that stuff. So and again from day one we were working on it with like Charlie worked for Gabe Bartalos, who ended up doing our prosthetics, and you know, Gabe worked on he did like the Basket Case movies, and he worked on Frankenhooker, and he did the design for the Leprechaun,
Amazing.
um,
Wow.
and he worked with Matthew Barney, Bjork's husband, on a bunch of like really he did the Cremaster movies, which I don't know if you've seen those. They're like crazy art movies or whatever. But
No, I'll have to check them
yeah,
out. Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
There you
Awesome.
Um,
go.
Going into the practical effects, just wondering, it's always quite interesting to find out how much fake blood was used. Have you
Oh,
got any
how
idea?
much fake blood?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it must have been a lot. It must have been gallons, I think. Yeah. Um, I mean, especially because there's like the bloodiest scene I think is when he's dismembering Vlad. And we just, I mean, it was that day was just so ridiculous because like like we had Gabe just shooting blood. Like it's not even coming from the right direction. Like it's just like stupid, a stupid amount of blood.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I love the scene that he's being told by his idol how to dismember the body, and then he gets all the way back to the apartment and he forgot to buy what is it, a saw, and he has to go all the way
Yeah,
back
yeah,
out again.
yeah.
I thought that was funny.
It's such
Um,
a well.
goofy
That
line,
it's
right?
funny. It's funny too because that like initially when we were like discussing the idea, um, to me like it could have been the whole movie. The whole movie could have just been a guy trying to figure out how to dispose of a body. Like that to me, it's just like so funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's like
In context, it's
yeah.
funny. Yeah,
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, something I like is like combining the mundane with the extreme or whatever. So it's like you know, in every other movie, if you kill somebody, like you just cut to now suddenly have if they're all neatly in pieces or something. You watch an episode of Dexter or whatever, but it's like in reality, it's like I'm sure it's a lot more
I
difficult.
would think it would take a long time too. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Why don't we move on to another topic?
Yeah.
But my question is, so music plays a huge role in the film,
Oh
which I
yeah.
think is very well done. Was that an exciting aspect of the film? And I mean, you have a
Yeah.
bit of a music background, and what were some of the challenges to making music such an integral part?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because in an earlier draft as well, William's character he was not a musician. He like worked at a bank and he was like a comic book artist or whatever. But
Wow.
when Jonah Ray joined the project, our second writer, Mike Benner, had a great idea where he's just like, look, like Jonah is a musician. Like, why don't we, you know, isn't it more kind of cinematic or interesting to have him, it's more exciting to see somebody rock out than it is to like see them drawing a cartoon or something. And so that was exciting and kind of opened up a lot of like it kind of opened up a lot of ideas, and then also kind of closed a lot of loops of like, okay, cool, like he can have a job as an engineer that's below, like he's right there, where next to the thing he wants to do, but he can't do it because he's, you know, it has all these barriers or whatever. So story wise, it worked really great, and then obviously, like if you've seen the movie, like it really plays into the sort of finale. But also, I mean, another one of those from day one, like on our wish list, was working with Ryan Katner and Brett Morris from Man Man, and it was just because he like they have like a really good like kind of Tom Waitsy texture to their music. So that was always part of it. Like, okay, I want to have this sort of grimy, like, dun, 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 that sort of sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that he could pull that off, but I wasn't 100% sure that he could pull the prog aspect off. But as they started sending songs in, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And the soundtrack is really good. Like, and it's like legitimately fun. I listen to it a lot now. Because I hear stuff that like kind of gets stepped on in the movie, but
Yeah.
it's like I can't even. It's it's hard for me to imagine listening to this soundtrack if I hadn't made the movie. Like if this soundtrack just existed, I would like lose my mind because I'm like, this is the best soundtrack I've ever heard. Not to oversell my movie, but like
No,
the
it's good.
soundtrack is, but it's just real, like it's just good. Like yeah,
Hmm. I'll have to try the soundtrack.
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun.
Um.
And we might be doing a vinyl release with a certain
Oh,
company that,
I
cool.
know
yeah.
the
Yeah.
cover art would be cool for the vinyl as well. So
Hmm.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
man. Nice.
Um. Saying actually saying about the cover, it's quite colourful and I noticed with the film as well, it had quite a colourful sort of palette. Like
Hmm.
a lot of like there was the disco lights and the neon and the orange and green in Williams' room, and it
Yeah.
just I think that gave the movie its own kind of character as well. And I just what
Hmm.
I'm asking is, did you sort of decide on those colours, or was that already in
Hmm.
you chose the film?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't. I think maybe it's part of my like music video background or commercial background or
Yeah,
whatever. But like, um, I felt like that was a thing that I could bring to the horror table that not a lot of like first time directors have, because it's
yeah,
like I can sort of bring that sense of style and whatever. But yeah, I wanted Williams' room to kind of be a little more stale and like kind of warm when Emily's there, but just sort of more
yeah,
stale, and then and like kind of those warmer colors like yellows and greens and stuff, and then Vlad's is just complete chaos, and I mean, it's just ridiculous that
yeah,
he's only lived there a day or a week or whatever, and he's like already installed his crazy light setup
It's
or
like,
whatever.
wait, set. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
but
cool.
I really wanted to have that difference. So it's like, okay,
yeah,
in Vlad's world, it's more, you know, uh, like Mario Bava lighting, or
yeah,
um, Nicholas Winding Refn, or the bisexual lighting.
yeah. But
Um,
his room kind of seemed more intense with colours. Like you were
yeah,
kind of waiting for something to happen where it
yeah,
moved its room, added like a different feel. Even when you went to the recording studio,
uh-huh,
it kind of had I was getting like a 50-50 that something could go
Hmm.
nuts.
yeah,
But yeah, it was
yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of the choices with the movie, I don't know. It's like I think when things go extreme, like if they go extreme color wise or extreme, makeup wise or something, it's like I think hopefully there's this feeling that yeah, like anything could happen here. Like you know,
Yeah,
what I don't know.
yeah,
It's also kind of like I don't know, like the whole idea of like exploitation films or something, just like taking any whatever you have and like throwing it at the screen, So it's like if it's like that movie Tammy and the T Rex. So it's like we got a T Rex, let's put it in the movie. And for me, I'm like, we got cool lights, like let's
Yeah.
you know we
yeah,
can't afford a lot of stuff, so let's we can put some gels on the lights. That'll look cool.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure. For sure. And
so
Ben, I just want to say that was a great question and observation. One thing that I remember, so a lot of the movie is about William's inactivity, right? And right when
yeah,
he's about to snap, there was a really dark red color when he's
uh-huh.
sitting on his couch. And I just wanted to say I thought that was really nicely done.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
and speaking,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, let me. Yeah, I want to comment. Like, because I had this thought. I wanted to do some sort of like crazy dolly move, like a Zoom dolly, or I had spent a lot of time like trying to cut him out in post and like do something really trippy and cool. But then I just realized I'm like, like I mean, I love like the movie Popeye, where where there's a moment where he gets angry and it just all goes to red, and I was like, oh, like
Yes,
let's just do that. I'm not
that
going to be
was
able to
good.
come up with a cool enough shot that's going to like wow people beyond what they see every day on like a tissue commercial, or you know what I mean. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll just go the other way and just um
Yeah, yeah.
you know
No, and I think
try and play it psychologically and play it from his point of view and the character. And anytime you sort of like that's where you're pulling from, I think
yeah,
you know the
yeah,
yeah,
results
that makes
speak for
sense. I
themselves.
subtle but effective, I would say. I think it
Yeah, thank
worked in
you.
that moment. And
Yeah,
speaking of which, you worked with a very talented cast on this film. Alex Winter
yeah.
plays Vlad. He also has a
Mm-hmm.
dual role as a lawyer. You may know
Yeah.
him from The Lost Boys and Bill and Ted's Big Adventure. Takes me back to my youth.
Mm-hmm.
And where am I going with this? And also Jonah Ray, who plays William. So I guess my
Mm-hmm.
question is, what was it like working with both of them, two very talented actors indeed?
Yeah. They were amazing and continue to be amazing. Yeah, I mean, I really, really lucked out. Um, not just as actors, but also I brought them on as producers as well.
Hmm.
That was part of my trick to get them involved. I'm like, oh, you could be a producer. You don't get paid any more money, but whatever. But like their creative input all across the movie has been amazing. Like, and also Alex. I mean, Alex has directed so many things, like narrative features, as well as he's like a really prolific documentary guy. And so he has his own production company, and he's just really good at that stuff. And then also Russell Sands Geary was one of our producers. He also obviously was like the driving force in producing it.
Mhm.
But I mean, Alex, like Alex and Jonah, they get the humor, they get the sort of intersection of you know zany comedy that we all like that sort of comedy, but then we also like the weird dark stuff, and then we like the sweet moments too.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, and I'm a huge fan of like the movie Freak and the Bill and Ted movies. Like,
Of course.
I I rewatched Bill and Ted 2, and the there's a scene where it's like he it's like it's Granny Preston. Bill's being chased by his grandma, but it's just Alex is like dressed like a grandma. Um,
I
it's
need to
amazing.
rewatch.
It's like so. It's yeah. I mean, it's kind of a horror movie. Like they go to hell and
That's
you
true.
know
Some
yeah,
have to
horror
play chess with the
elements.
devil
Yeah.
or play Twister with the devil or whatever. But they were just there, and then as performers too. I mean, like it's kind of funny. Like Alex, like in his office, he like when he's working on a role, like he like picks an animal or maybe a couple animals that are like how he like inform how he moves. And he worked with like this amazing dialect uh coach, and I don't know, like he put so much like dedication and hard work into this very silly movie, which I highly appreciate.
And he did a great job. Ben, before I go back to you, and I just want to say,
Thanks, yeah.
neither of us recognized him as Vlad the first time through.
Yeah.
No, no.
You couldn't tell it was him speaking or the prosthetics. It was very well done.
Yeah.
So you did a great job.
Yeah.
I guess both.
I was just about to ask, how long did it take to get him into his
Oh yeah,
makeup?
good. Mhm.
it apparently it's a lot shorter than it was back in the day, but it would take about 3 hours to get it on.
Too bad.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then like to take it off, he said it was pretty instantaneous. I mean, maybe 20 minutes or a half hour of like just scrubbing your face, but um, yeah, which I mean, because you hear like these like horror stories of like, oh, it took 8 hours or something, but I mean 3 is still
It's a long
um,
time to sit
a
still.
pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but lucky for Alex, so the guy who applied the makeup. So like Gabe sculpted it, and then we got Bill, like Academy Award winner Bill Corso, to do the application of the makeup and paint it and all this stuff. And so Bill and Alex had worked together since Lost Boys. And so I don't know. So I guess for them, it's just he gets to hang out with his buddy for 3 hours every morning,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
which is
cool.
nice in an air conditioned truck while we are in the world's hottest warehouse, which
I
is
bet.
ridiculous.
Well, we do have some viewer questions, but I kind of have
Yeah,
one fun. I think it's my turn for a question. Kind of a fun one. Would you be open to do a sequel? And if so, what elements would you explore? If
yeah, yeah,
William came back, maybe got out of prison, or
yeah,
spoiler alert,
yeah.
spoiler
Spoiler
alert.
alert.
Yep.
It's fun. This is a movie designed to be watched over and over.
Yep.
We I've been meeting up with the writers, and we're kind of like outlining a sequel. We'll see, but I think the
Too
soft
soon.
pitch.
Too soon to
Well, this,
tell.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just like we just love the characters and the tone. It's like it's like every character we're like, oh, I want to see where this guy is or what. So the pitch that we have right now is destroy all neighborhoods, and he has to go. He gets broken out of prison. Like, I'll pitch it to you guys, and you guys tell me if you like it, and then maybe we'll make you.
Go for it.
So so we fast forward, a few years, and now he's like totally zen. He's like Rick Rubin. He has like a big beard, and he's like just very like he silenced all the ghosts, and then he has these rabid fans who break him out of prison, and so he and his ghosts have to go on the road, um, to to,
Road
they're
trip.
on the road, and the cop in the movie Phil Henry would be like the Tommy Lee Jones and the fugitive, and they have to chase him around. And anyway, like kind of like the
And
beginning of Blues Brothers, where they're getting the band back together and all that.
oh, I like it.
Um,
I like it. And some
and then people and then
unfortunate
people die.
accidents along the way.
Yeah. And then a lot of people have to.
Have to,
You gotta. They have to have some excuse for guts and just the intestines. You know.
and maybe the whole goal is to complete his second album, which is going to
Yeah.
be his ultimate masterpiece.
Or one thought I had is like, or a friend of mine was like, he's like, I think there's something more about this Dawn Dimension band. I think maybe they've opened up a dimension or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
So it might be that they have to go and collect the members of Dawn Dimension and break them out of old folks' homes and stuff. So I don't know.
Forcibly. Oh yeah, you've got to do it,
yeah.
man. That
So,
sounds great.
anyone who's watching is a fan of the movie.
Mhm.
Comment. I think that's a good idea as well. We can.
Yeah.
What?
or give me
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
ideas and we'll put them in the script.
Put some
Yeah.
ideas. Yes, yes. All
Yeah.
right.
Well, I'm gonna crowdsource this script.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to, we do have some viewer questions.
Yep.
Ben, you want me to go first, or do you want to take the first
I'll
one?
go first.
Okay.
Before we do, sorry, I just got to ask this.
Oh,
Yeah.
hold on. Alarm. Sorry. Okay, we're back. And we're back,
So,
everybody.
it's
Okay.
just a quick. We've obviously Aaron's give the spoiler.
Yes. My
I just wanted to
apologies.
know if I just wanted to know if it was always going to be that he ended up in prison
Oh
because,
yeah.
to be honest, when I was watching the film, I was sort of waiting for it to turn and everything be fine, and it wasn't,
Right.
which was
Right.
quite a
Yeah.
pleasant surprise.
Well, um, in an in an earlier draft, the idea was I in an earlier version, Vlad lived upstairs and was tormenting him. And so then at the end of the movie, we find out that William's downstairs neighbor shows up and kills him. That was that was the um, that was how it originally ended, where it's like, you know, he kills his neighbor because he's annoying him, and he doesn't realize that he's like the noisy neighbor. Um, was 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 originally the idea, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's tough because it's like you don't. Um, I don't know. We wanted to play it a little ambiguous as to his culpability in it. Like some of
Mhm.
it's definitely an accident, some of it isn't, and some of it, you know. I mean, we're definitely on his side the whole time, but you know, I think he needed. You know, it's like old Hollywood rules. Like he needed to be punished. Um,
Mhm.
a little bit,
Yes,
but
yes.
also like, I mean, I have fantasies of like going to prison, like not 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 those kind of fantasies, but just like
Yeah,
I have I have I have two kids who I love dearly, but you know they're quite demanding of my time. So I always have this like fantasy of like, oh, you know, if I was in prison, I could just sit and read all day, and you know,
You're
it'd be
not
like a
alone. I've
vacation.
thought that
Yeah,
too. Think of all the downtime you'd have.
yeah,
But then if you want to
and
go
like
to Target or somewhere, you can't.
right. Or like because like you know you think of all these people who like um I don't know like Malcolm X writing his biography, or you know these like
From
I think
prison, right?
a lot of people get some good writing done
Yeah.
in prison.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of
Nelson
time
Mandela.
for that.
Yeah. But it's also just like yeah, it's just like again just such a dumb dream of like obviously it
Yes.
would not be.
It's
Don't
probably
send me to prison.
not what you'd think it would be. So
No.
let's yeah.
Um
But I have thought the same thing. Maybe that would be the one positive side of it.
yeah. But
Well,
again, it's like anything. We're always kind of trying to spin it a little bit. So it's like, okay, like he won, but he's in prison, but he's you know he's actually able to kind of be creative for the you know for the first time in silence. But
yes.
you know, I don't
And
know.
sort of
Yeah,
create
it's just
something and not be under pressure, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, very cool. Let's do the questions. And Ben, you want to take the first
yeah.
one?
Yep. Do you want me to?
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. Yep.
Okay. This is from CJ from Irish K Popper, and has asked, "What was your favourite scene to film from the movie?"
Great question, CJ. What was my?
Awesome.
I think the
My cats are
I
about to
think
fight.
that I think the decapitation scene was a
Mm.
blast. Um, that was just really that whole scene is
Yeah.
of him confronting Vlad, and you know, there's so many pieces to shoot, and so many like you know little magic tricks to keep in mind. Um, but it's just fun. It was fun because like we storyboarded it obviously, and like you know you're hoping that it works and hoping that it works, and then as we're shooting it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is better than I expected. Like you know, this is going to be pretty special. So that was,
Cool.
but it was also very. That's like my favorite scene to shoot, and it was also the most difficult, I think, because like they just, especially when you have practical blood, it's like you got to be really careful about. Oh wait, if I shoot it here and he gets all bloody, then we don't have another shirt for him. So how do we,
Yeah.
how do we organize the shoot so that we can get everything
Make
and
it
not
work.
mess up continuity? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love that scene. That whole exchange is great
yeah.
between them.
Also, the scene
Excellent.
with Kumail, again, to spoil. Well, he's in the trailer, but the Kumail scene was like a real delight. It was such a blast.
Yeah, that's really funny. When he's like, when he throws out a name, he's like, "Do you know so and so?" It's quite funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is from Nate from the Sorosaurus. So thank you, Nate. He said, "Are you a fan of prog rock? And if so, what are your top albums?"
That is a great question. Yeah, I am. I when I was a kid, I had a my grandfather's brother died in Vietnam. I never knew him. But he left behind all these boxes of records that my great grandma was like, "Oh, do you want these?" So from a young age, like I was listening to weird stuff like King Crimson, and there's a lot of Frank Zappa in there, which is kind of, I think he says he's not prog, but it's very prog, like
Hmm.
very very wacky prog. Um, but yeah, I do. I like it a lot. I think there's something like very ADHD about it. Like I have ADD, and like um, these songs that just go everywhere. Um, they're awesome.
Cool.
I think one of the big gateway frog things for me was like I don't know if you saw Buffalo 66, but like the trailer for Buffalo 66 has a Yes song. Um, but it was like it was music that was like unlike anything I'd ever heard. It was just like it just keeps slows down, speeds up, and I was like, what is this? It's so weird. Um, so yeah, I've really been diving down the rabbit hole. I was I had watched multiple videos of people ranking their favorite Yes album. Um, and yeah,
That's
I don't
awesome.
know.
So yes,
So
and
yeah,
too many to
so
choose
yeah.
from.
Oh, so other bands I like. I mean, there's a band called Gong that I like. This album called like Teacup something, but they're just real. They're like it's pretty annoying to play. I'll play it around my family, and they're like, "This is you can't listen to
Turn
this."
this off.
But I love Yes. I got like a Rick Wakeman album that I
Cool.
really love. But like all the big ones like King Crimson and like early Genesis is awesome, and um,
Cool.
yeah, Camel. Camel is a band.
And what was the band you
Um,
mentioned? Gong? Is that right?
Gong, yeah,
I'll
yeah,
have to
yeah.
check it out. Yeah, maybe something to
Um,
play when you want all your party guests to leave.
yeah,
I mean, I joke based
yeah,
on how you described it.
yeah. But also, I mean, I think the one I should like name first is the band Goblin. Like that, you know, all their music for like Suspiria and for
Oh
Dawn of the
yeah.
Dead and whatever, like that.
Yep.
When I started falling down that rabbit hole, I was like, I was very hard pressed to find music that was better than Goblin for a very long time. So
I have heard of
the
them.
answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Goblin's amazing if you haven't.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, over to you. Thank you for that. And thank you, Nate.
Uh,
Great question.
yes, thank you, Nate. This is from Adam Sharp Music, which I think he said he was quite a fan of this film, didn't he?
He did. Yeah,
Okay.
he really liked it. Yep.
So yeah.
Good taste, Adam.
Agreed.
Uh, and Adam's asked, are practical effects easier than using CGI? I love the practical effects, by the way. He loves gore. I know he loves gory films.
Yes, he's like, oh, is it
Yeah.
gory enough? So he approved.
Right. Well, it's funny because we went back and added some gore, like in the scene where he's chopping him up. Like we went back in and got like some flesh to cut. Um, no, I mean I think is it easier? Not really. I mean, I think it's easier to just shoot a thing and then just hope that hope some guy with a computer can make it look good.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, like one of the things that a friend of mine is a director named Keith Schofield. Like he has a good mantra that it's easier to take away in post than to build in post.
Mm.
So that was something that I took to heart as far as like um, using practical elements, but maybe like having a string to puppet it, or an actor um, in a green screen suit. So it's like you could take the person away and you'd still get the puppety feel.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know if it's easier, but I definitely think it's better
Better. Yeah.
um, when you can
Yeah.
do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam. Is it back to me now? Okay, back to me. This is from Mason from MP_horror. Thank you, Mason. Which special effect was your favorite to film and see behind the scenes? I think we talked about this a
Mm-hmm.
little bit this already. There are a lot of gnarly effects in the movie that I can only
Mm-hmm.
imagine were crazy on set.
Yeah. Um, the bit with Philip, aka Pig Guy, um, when he gets like a record shard stabbed in his neck, and then they
Oh yeah,
pull it
yeah.
out, and it's just shooting blood. Like, um, that was just that's just so fun. This is the most, you know, it's really hard to not to not laugh at a moment like that. Um, I forgot what was the question. Is like, what was my favorite, or what did I enjoy?
Yeah,
Like,
what was favorite on set, right?
yeah, that one was a blast to
That was
do,
good.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and anything with like the torso and the intestines always like cracked me up. So yeah,
Yes, yes. We got to mention the intestines playing the drums in the awesome, awesome
yeah,
finale to this film.
yeah.
Um,
So I'll just where'd the pig come from? Was he a trained pig from somebody
Yeah,
like
yeah,
pet?
uh, in LA, for all our faults, we one of the good things about LA is there's a lot of animal trainers with animals that you know
Yeah.
for movies and
get
stuff.
us a pig. Yeah.
Yeah, get us a pit. Yeah, I've worked with quite a few different animals in my storied career. One of which being a reindeer, which which was a pain in the ass. But yeah, the pig. So the pig's name was Kosher the pig, and yeah, kosher sucks. Kosher's not a very good actor. Because all we needed to do is to go from point A to point B to run down the hallway. But the thing is that Jonah is like supposed to jump out of the way, and for whatever reason, any sort of big movement just stops the pig in its tracks, and then he would just like scream like the worst, like just like crazy, crazy pig sound. Um, so yeah,
If
he's a real pain in the ass.
if we get the physical release, which I imagine we will, Shudder usually puts their
Yeah,
movies on Blu-ray. Maybe in the
yeah,
outtakes, if you can fit in the pig
yeah,
screaming,
yeah.
that would be cool.
Well, I was like on the outside of the set, like just on a monitor, and it was like you just hear this. It's like, did they also bring another animal? Because that sound does not come from that
from a
size
little
of a pig.
from the little pig. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted a pig as a pet. Like that was kind of a
Yeah, yeah.
trend for a while.
Hmm.
Um, and they're smarter than dogs or whatever. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
kidding. No,
All right. Well
or
then,
maybe they're smarter than dogs in that they're like,
some dogs.
screw off. Like I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Sort of. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. That's
yeah,
funny.
good
Um,
old coacher.
all right. Let's see. Well, sake of time, we've got two more.
Yeah.
Ben, you want
Yeah.
to do Brian's
One
questions?
is from Brian. We know Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
From
Yo,
Facebook
Brian.
Voorhees. Have you experienced neighbours from hell that inspired or similar to the character of Vlad? You kind of answered this,
We
but
talked about that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like I
any of
said,
the neighbours related horror movies that you recommend? Sorry, I was a bit.
oh, other horror movies that I recommend, or
Neighbor related horror
oh,
movies.
That's a
neighbor
good
related
question.
horror. I mean, The Burbs was a
Oh
huge
yeah,
one.
that's good. Yeah.
It was very much like, oh, what if we could do The Burbs in an apartment building? That was definitely, um,
Mm.
the
Fright Night's a good neighbor horror.
Fright
But go
Night
ahead.
definitely. Um, two Roman Polanski movies, The Tenant,
Mm.
and Repulsion are
Hmm.
kind of, apartment horror. Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's the movie The Citadel. No, The Sentinel has some creepy neighbors in a house. Um,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Let the right one
Um,
in, let me in, whatever.
let yeah,
Those one are good. I keep coming up
yeah,
with vampire movies. I don't know why.
right,
People under
yeah,
the stairs.
People Under the Stairs. Yeah, that's that one too.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, another movie that was definitely like an inspiration tonally was what is that? A Fantastic Fear of Everything.
I've never
Um,
seen that.
I don't
the
think I have
Simon
either.
Pegg movie. That was definitely like a touchstone for us. And then like Barton Fink was big too. Um, I don't know. It is kind of. I mean, it's a neighbor movie because John Goodman is his neighbor down the hall, kind of. Yeah,
Cool.
a lot of neighbor movies.
Yes, for sure.
There's the
Let's
movie
see.
Neighbors.
And neighbors, of course.
Good
These
question, Beth.
last, yeah, great question. Last question. These are from, I have two. These are from Mike Freeman 77. He said,
Mm.
what works better, a comedy with scary scenes or a horror movie with some comedy? It's a good question.
Well, I think this movie ultimately, like, if you had to, if you took the 23andMe DNA test of what this movie is, it would probably come out more, you know, more 70% comedy and 30% horror. Um, I don't know. I mean, like I like any way you slice it, it's like if I'm watching a horror movie, like I my own taste, like I like to have some comedy in it. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't even have to be funny, but like um I don't know. One of the problems I have with like Christopher Nolan movies is like no one has a sense of humor in his world. Like
it's a good point.
like that's why I always loved. I mean, for all of his personal failings, Joss Whedon. Like when I came to Buffy the Vampire Slayer late, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing because it's like all the crazy stuff I love, but then you have this point of view of like, oh man, this is ridiculous, or oh, we got to go to the store to get holy water, or I don't know, like that's always just funny to me.
Yeah.
Again, it's that
Yep.
combination of like the extreme and then the completely banal and ordinary.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, and then I just like I like gross stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe that answers it, but
No, I
that
think
was always
so.
that was always a concern. It's like because it's like a Shudder movie, and we definitely wanted to have horror elements to it, but yeah, it was
Yeah,
a, it's
I
it was
think
a,
it's
it
in
was a
there.
weird experiment, but
And
yeah, you got to
actually,
have both.
Mike, I think that's a great answer. And Mike had one more question, which is a yes or no question. So I think you can probably take this
Yeah.
one quickly. He said, your film has been described by some critics as twisted.
Hmm.
Would you say that is high praise in your opinion?
Uh, as long as they're not referring to the two-man rap group who who are rivals with the Insane Clown Posse because I'm on Team ICP. There's a rap group called Twisted with a Z. But yeah, of course. I mean, you know who doesn't want to have a movie that's twisted, right? I don't know.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
all my favorite movies or favorite directors are the ones who you know have some weird spin on things, whether it's like Cronenberg or you know
for sure.
David Lynch or whatever,
Yes. Well, thank you everyone who asked the questions. Thank you, your viewers.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Josh, I know we're running a little bit short on time, but we did ask you to think about some of your favorite horror
Yeah.
comedies. Maybe you could just list a couple
Yeah.
of those quickly.
I know I sent them to you. Let me look at my little list here. Um,
Yes,
let's see.
you did.
Okay, so I'll so one that's not a movie, but is definitely like the style of comedy and horror that I love. Is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Um,
Hmm.
have, have you guys seen that at all?
I have not, no. Say a little bit more.
So Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. It's a UK show, and it's it's as if they unearthed these tapes, like a bad '80s like horror show that takes place in a hospital. Oh, there's my dog.
I know, that's so
Hey, man.
awesome. You have a guest.
Just
And I must
oh,
say,
What do you?
he appeared
Yeah.
perfectly. He just came right in view
Oh
and
yeah.
sat.
But yeah, like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, like it spoofs. It's like this. It's like a shitty version of Stephen King or something, who also stars in the show, and it's like insanely campy, but like Richard Ayoade is in it, and I don't know. It's just
I'll have to check it out.
I love that show to death.
Yeah.
But there's a movie called Undead that's on the list.
Is
Um,
that an Australian movie?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, I have seen that one.
by the
It's been a
Spearig
while.
brothers. Yeah, the guys
Yeah,
that
yeah.
did I think Daywalkers is another one that they did.
Okay, okay.
Um, but I mean, so for me, there's like the the holy pantheon of horror comedy is it's like Evil Dead, Return of the Living Dead,
Yeah,
Army of Darkness. You've got like Brain Dead or Dead Alive,
Dead Alive,
Brain Dead
yes.
from
That's
Peter
awesome.
Jackson. Like,
Lionel and Paquita.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you've got like uh, Shaun of the Dead. Like, there's some that are just like so clearly the best, you know.
Yeah, Tucker and
But
Dale versus Evil.
Tucker and Dale, yeah,
The Voices
you
with
know,
Ryan Reynolds was pretty good.
yeah, yeah, which definitely has some similarities to what we're doing.
Oh yeah, you're right, actually.
Yeah.
quite
Um,
like the dark elements of American Werewolf in London. The black
oh yeah,
comedy in that was
Yes.
yeah.
good.
I mean,
Oh
that would
yeah,
also
that's
be
good.
yeah, or like Reanimator. Um, but some other ones
Mhm.
that maybe Lester talked about. There's a movie called Sightseers. That's by Ben Wheatley, the guy that did he did Kill List
In
and
that, yeah. Is that a
um,
British?
it's
The
British,
list.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. You've seen it, Ben?
Um,
Yeah, it's good.
so Sightseers is it's like a this it's kind of dim-witted. It's as my memory serves, like this guy and girl who are on a road trip and they just keep killing people and they don't want it to get in the way of their vacation, so they keep like trying to cover it up. It's just great
Sightseers.
because
I'll have to check it out.
it's it's um it's funny because the woman in it was also in Garth Marenghi. Let me look it up. But it's a really fun little character piece. Um, but it's also dark as hell and
Oh,
weird.
you've sold me. I loved Kill List. There's not a lot of comedy, not a lot of comedy in Kill List,
Yeah,
but I'll try Sightseers.
right.
Cool.
Um, Bubba Hotep was on my list, I believe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
brilliant.
Great film. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I would even um, I've lost count of how many we have, uh, but I just really love Don Coscarelli.
Yep.
I mean, Bubba Hotep is just like so like 100% the sort of like thing I want to do. Or I mean, John dies at the end also is just like that's like 100% in alignment with like my style and the sort of stuff I like.
Mm-hmm.
As far as just
That's a good one.
it's you know it's so funny. Like the whole time they're just cracking jokes and stuff.
Yep.
But it never the comedy never like tries to overtake it. Um, but so that's
Yeah, I could see
one.
that.
Grabbers. Have you guys seen Grabbers?
Yeah,
Um, the I believe it's an Irish movie.
yeah.
I don't know if I have.
It's like it's there's a monster that's coming like I'm trying to remember what the kind of monster it is, like an alien or something. It's like a creature that's
And they're stuck in a pub. Is that right?
yeah. They find out that the monster is like allergic to alcohol or like can't won't eat you if you're drunk. And so these characters
They
try
have
and
to
spend
stay
the whole
drunk.
movie drunk. Yeah.
I'll have to
Um,
watch that one too.
but it's I mean that's it's like it's very similar. It's like very it's kind of a spiritual sequel, not sequel, but like in the same category as Tremors. Like Tremors is another
Mm-hmm.
one that I love.
Yeah, especially.
Um,
Yeah, that's good.
I mean,
Yeah.
Good
and
go.
then I think like for me, this is one that people would not probably think is horror comedy, but the Weird Al movie UHF. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Parts.
There's
I know of the film. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's so good and crazy enough, Weird Al came to our premiere, which is amazing. Um,
Wow.
but like when I was a kid, like I so the story I tell is like when I was in sixth grade, I went to like a co-ed party or dance or something, and it was just a disaster. Like I just so but like they threw me in the closet with it was like 7 minutes in heaven, and it was like this girl that I like totally loved, but
Oh my
she's
gosh.
just like she's just like no, nothing's happening. It's just like whatever. It's just like a weird traumatic thing. And my dad picked me up and was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like a depressed 12-year-old, Um, and he's like, "Well, you want to go get a movie?" Yeah. And so we went and we got UHF, and UHF has a bunch of crazy horror gags where like a guy a guy's sawing like doing like a TV show where he's sawing something and he just starts shooting blood out everywhere. And he's just like, "Oh,
I'll
well, call me
to
Mr.
watch.
Butterfingers." Um, or there's a part where they cut to like the whole movie is about like this cheesy cable, or not a cable, but it was like a UHF station is like a public access station.
Yeah, yeah, like
Um,
came right, right.
yeah, so like they they'll reference all these crazy movies that are happening, so that it's like, oh, tune in later, you'll see Conan the Librarian, and Conan like slices a guy in half and is like falls apart. So that for me, like
Sounds
those,
fun. Yeah,
it's I mean it's one of the best
cool.
movies ever. But but those like the horror little those little horror moments, horror comedy, is very similar to the feeling I had when I saw um, the Holy Grail, Monty Python Holy Grail,
Yes.
and you
Yep.
have you have the guy, the knight who they just keep cutting, and the flesh wound guy. Um,
Yeah,
so those
that's
for me
good
were
too.
always big, but
Yeah, it's
Cool.
classic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Good
but
good
it's
choices.
tough because there's a lot of stuff that's pretty schlocky out there,
Mm.
and I mean I do love schlock, but like
Yeah, there's some
I
good
don't
ones
know,
that shine, and then there are definitely a lot of
yeah,
bad ones that
and we
probably
really didn't want
wouldn't
to
make
make
the list.
yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't want
Hmm.
to make like a scary movie or you know like something that was just like a spoof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, like I said,
you
it's
know,
something that I haven't seen before, and so
yeah,
congratulations on that.
awesome, thank you.
Yeah. So we don't want to keep you too much longer.
Yeah,
Let's see. So before we close, Destroy All Neighbors. If you haven't seen it, check it out on Shudder. Josh, my
yeah.
Definitely.
last question for you is how can people find you on social media?
Um, I deleted my Twitter
Okay, so
because
so
Twitter's
not
insane.
Twitter.
So not Twitter. You're like, okay, why don't you go ahead and make a list of all the things you're not doing? Yeah,
My
go to
space is gone. Keep
yeah,
going.
yeah. Um, I'm on Instagram at best Josh Forbes. There are other Josh Forbeses, but I am the best.
You are the best.
I planted my flag
Nicely
in
played there.
the.
And actually, that's how we found you, and that's how we got to chat with you. So
There we
this
go.
has
See, it worked.
been, yes, this has been amazing. Awesome film.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for
Thanks, guys.
chatting with us.
Of
And
course.
Ben, do you want to do the closing?
Yeah, just a big thanks to Josh for coming on. Well done with the film. It's absolutely bonkers in a good way.
And
Mhm.
twisted.
And
Yeah,
twisted.
yeah,
Yeah.
nuts, whatever you want to say. And yeah, everybody, thanks for watching. Over to Instagram, follow us at A&B Horrors over there. And if you
Hmm.
follow the show already, thank you. Hit the like and subscribe to help us channel. And again, thanks to Josh.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
All right.